children. We have details on that shortly.
Also this afternoon, 3 years after being relocated, scrap dealers, onion traders and meat sellers returned to Agbogbloshie, reclaiming the area that was once home to one of the most vibrant markets in the capital.
And fishermen at Yinyano in the Gomwa East District of the Central Region appeal for the operationalization of a complete cold store facility. We have details of these and more stories coming your way shortly. To stay with us. We begin from the central part of Ghana, where the cholera outbreak in Agona West has devastated the community, claiming the lives of at least 3 people in the past month, including 2 young children. The children aged 8 and 6 died after suffering from severe vomiting and diarrhea, despite their mother rushing them to the hospital. Really devastating. In addition, a pregnant woman is battling the disease, fearing for the life of her unborn child. I've been following up on this report. Behind me, a patient is fighting for her life. Cholera is not a disease that belongs to 2025, yet here in Agona West, it has stolen lives. The people here are not just suffering, they are dying for something as basic as good sanitation.
Fidelia Al-Hassan, not her real name, is pregnant and battling cholera.
I didn't know that it was cholera until I get here. It was just my stomach and I was running too. I am pregnant, so I went to the ANC. Then they told me to go to the emergency first.
How many months pregnant are you?
Let's say 23 weeks. Because of work, so I normally buy fruits outside. So maybe it could be that one.
But she's not alone. The Agona West municipality is in the grips of a deadly cholera outbreak. Over 250 suspected cases have been recorded in the past month, with 3 deaths. For Eunice Benyi, January 19, 2025 is a day she will never forget. Her sons, Emmanuel and Ebenezer, were full of life, but in just 24 hours, cholera took them both.
Gets one. No toilets. No often a pain, so no off personal on toilets.
My children both had diarrhea, and the little one was also vomiting. Just as we were about to sleep, one of them kept asking to urinate and had a severe running stomach. By morning, my eldest had passed away at home. We rushed the little one to the hospital unconscious, but the doctors couldn't find his veins to administer treatment. He too didn't survive.
Doctors at the Agona Swedro Municipal Hospital confirmed their deaths were caused by cholera. But the nightmare is not over. Eunice's last surviving child is also fighting the infection, and she's afraid she might lose him too, despite being treated and discharged from the hospital. Yvonne Benyi, who shares a compound with Eunice, says 5 children in their household, including her own, have contracted the disease.
My son had diarrhea and was vomiting, so I quickly rushed him to the government hospital where he was being treated.
I am heading to Inkum, a community about a 40-minute drive from Swedro in Agona West, where the cholera outbreak is also taking its toll. Access to potable water remains a major challenge here, with most residents relying on untreated stream water for survival.
This is just one of the main streams that connects at a point where residents here in Inkum would come and fetch water for their menial activities. Clearly, you can tell the water is unsafe, it is untreated, but this is what residents here in Inkum depend on for survival.
We drink this water. My parents use it for cooking and even take some to the farm to quench their thirst.
We use this for bathing, drinking and washing.
A heap of refuse sits dangerously close to the streams while open defecation is rampant, further worsening the situation. This is a breeding ground for cholera, and the community is paying the price. 2 people have already died here and more are falling sick by the day. Environmental health officer and member of the rapid response team working with the Ghana Health Service, Mark Jojoji, has been working tirelessly with his team to contain the outbreak.
We intensify our hygiene education activities. We go from churches to schools to public gathering places to educate them on the surge of the cholera. And so we educate them on all preventive measures.
The cholera outbreak has intensified fear among residents, but the Deputy Director of Public Health for the Central Region continues to implement measures to curb its spread.
Since the beginning of cases being suspected in Agbogbloshie West District, the highest number we've had in a particular day was on the 4th of January 2025. That was 22. Averagely, we've been having sometimes 15, 7, 6, 5. So I would say that averagely we do like 7 or 8 cases per day. Currently, the past 3 days, the numbers have been encouraging, meaning that they are going down. So as at close of work yesterday, we had 5 cases.
As of December 26, 2024, the cholera outbreak in parts of the country had claimed 37 lives, with confirmed cases rising from 346 to 359. The number of affected districts also increased from 44 to 46 as of December 24, 2024. Cases emerged in Agona East and La Nkwantanang Medina in the Greater Accra region, while hospitalizations have decreased from 64 to 48 within the reporting period. The Western region remains the hardest hit, with 37 people currently receiving treatment.
For years, authorities have promised improved sanitation, safer drinking water and better health care. But those promises remain words on paper while people are buried in shallow graves. The people of Agbogbloshie West are not asking for luxury. They are begging for survival, and if help does not come now, more will die tomorrow.
Godwin Asidiba, TV3.
Professor Ernest Kenu is with the School of Public Health at the University of Ghana, and he's joining us for a conversation on this rather disturbing issue. Prof, thank you so much for your time. First, we know that quite a number of lives have been lost recently, and the other time that we had an outbreak was in 2014. And looking at now, this also coming in, gradually spreading across all regions, or various regions, if I should say, including the Central region, where we've seen that 2 children have also died. How do you think this can be managed as a country?
No, and to your viewers, I think this is quite unfortunate, and we want to express our condolence to the families that have lost loved ones. We are dealing with a disease that we know so much about. We know about the organism. We know about the mode of transmission. We know about the signs and symptoms. We know about the treatment. We know about the outcome. If we are having such a problem in the country at the time when it's not due to a disaster nor flooding, then it's because our system is failing. Our system is failing because we are not able to provide potable water for our people. This is not the first time I'm going to say that cholera is a disease of filth. No matter how we turn around the clock and we decide to use palatable words, it's a disease of filth. Until as a country we get aggressive in addressing the issue of filth, we can never get over this problem. We are in this century when we know so much about it? But the system is failing us because we are not telling the people what the problem is.
Right.
Not just who lost their time within the shortest possible time. And that is the problem. We don't treat the early symptoms aggressively. And therefore, what we need to do now is that anybody who has the signs and symptoms should start the treatment from home. In the past, we just used hand washing, and during the COVID era, we did not report even a case of cholera, purely because Ghanaians were washing their hands regularly. Why don't we go back to the same basic principles? Why are we trying to bring things that are not working? There are things that have been tested over the years, and they work. What is preventing this country at this point to say that, look, we don't have money, but we have water. Let everybody make sure that wherever you are going to wash your hands frequently, especially if you visit the toilet or you are going to handle food, make sure that you do this very well. Whatever water you are drinking, ensure that it is safe, it is potable. You're talking about communities that you don't have potable water. Of course, that is the recipe for cholera. Whatever we do, if we don't address the basic problem, the underlying problem, we will just be going around the same problem over and over again. We want to call on all the authorities who are involved in providing potable water to please get there and get them potable water. Else, this talk that every now and then I come on the radio, I come on the television and talk, it's just going to be meaningless. It is action and should be now. The talk is too much. We need resources. Let's push all the resources that we have to those areas now. In fact, it will get to a threshold that we can't handle any longer.
Right.
The best thing to do in an outbreak is that when the fire is small, you put it out.
Right, Prof.
When the fire gathers the entire building, you can't do it. Then we will be like Zimbabwe, they're calling international community to come and help us.
Right, Prof, can you hear me?
Call the authorities on. Thank you.
Right, Prof. In November 2024, 17 districts in 4 regions recorded some cholera cases. Do you think, looking at how it is gradually moving to other regions, it could become an epidemic?
Yeah, so I just told you that, look, when you identify a case, you aggressively manage it and make sure you get to the source and the community. What we are doing is not aggressively tackling the problem. We are waiting for them to come to the health facilities, and often they'll get to the health facilities in a bad state. Sorry to use that word. The person is severely dehydrated, and this is the disease that will kill you within hours because the entire body is made up of water, 70% water. The more you lose water from the system, you get into shock. You get to the health facility, severely dehydrated, in shock, they find it difficult to get your life.
So as a country, what are some of the measures that can be put in place, not just from the government side as well, but looking at people, especially those who are in areas that have recorded this rather unfortunate infections?
In those areas, the first thing that we should institute, 1, provide them with safe water. The country should make sure that these areas are getting safe water, number 1. Number 2, everywhere that there is gathering, we should have the facility of hand washing. It should be a must. It is not like as and when you want to. No, we should be aggressive on this. Do we want to be cholera-free soon? If the answer is yes, then we need to be aggressive. I think that we are not aggressive as a country. The number 3 that we need to do is that we need to educate the people very well. Eat your food when it is completely cooked and hot. But the woman said she bought food on the streets, and that is the beginning of the other problem. When you have cholera, eat your food well cooked and hot. The other thing is that you want to be sure that you deal with vegetables that you can peel or fruits that you can peel yourself. If somebody else has done the peeling for you, the likelihood of contamination is very high. But if you do the peeling, you wash your hands, you do the peeling, and afterwards you wash your hands before eating.
Right.
This is the basic thing that we need to put in place. And please, let's call on the authorities that are involved. They should go to the ground, not only in the health facilities, to the communities. That way, we can say goodbye to this problem that we're having.
Right. I can definitely feel from your voice how sad you are about this happenings in some of these regions that has led to the death of some 2 children. Thank you so much for your time. I've been speaking with Professor Ernest Kenu. He is with the School of Public Health at the University of Ghana. And Judith, speaking to a mother who has lost 2 children the same day, it was just something that I couldn't comprehend with. But I'm also hoping that the pregnant woman will get to, survive at the end of the day.
Well, I can't believe how you were able to handle the situation. I would have been in tears. I'm sure you were in tears as well. But let's stay on health now, and let's head to the Upper West region, which has recorded 42 suspected cases of meningitis from December 2024 to January 31, 2025, with 10 deaths. Upper West regional correspondent Ibrahim Wangara has found this report.
To the latest updates, 5 patients are currently on admission, with 4 in stable condition and 1 still battling to survive. Health officials in the Upper West region have identified 2 major factors contributing to the deaths recorded.
But what is strange this year is that we haven't gone far, and the region has already started reporting higher than usual cases, and also the deaths associated with the cases is also quite high. We realize that the cases that died came in very late, and so it was difficult for the health staff to manage them. We also identified cost as a major barrier to health service delivery. Almost all the cases that ended up dead did not have health insurance.
In an effort to curb the situation, the Director General of Ghana Health Services dispatched a national rapid response team to the area. The team has announced free health treatment for victims suspected of struggling with meningitis within the region.
And so the Director General said that what can we do differently this time? That we will minimize the casualties of people who are dying from meningitis. So we have come, and then after going around facilities, visiting people who are sick on admission, meeting the regional team, getting to speak to the communities, it is very clear that people have some barriers to access care. And that's what the regional director has alluded to. That the barrier was, first one was the financial barrier. And so we have advised, putting our heads together, a technical team, we have advised and then communicated to the Director General, who also is in support with us, that let's take an action now. And the action now is that anybody who is suspected to be having meningitis within this reported region, when you come, there shouldn't be any financial barrier. You should have access to the care free of charge. And then you'll be able to document it and get it to him.
The Regional Health Directorate is urging residents to seek medical attention immediately if they exhibit symptoms of meningitis, such as fever, headache, and stiff neck.
We are just at the beginning of the season. February, March is where the problem is likely to be. So we are in for a long haul. But with commitments from all of us, certainly, if not, that people will not fall sick, at least those who fall sick will not die. So that is assurance.
In the meantime, health officials are advising residents to take precautions to prevent the spread of meningitis. This includes avoiding close contact with sick individuals, washing hands frequently, and seeking medical attention immediately if symptoms persist. Ibrahim Wangara, TV3 News, Upper West Region.
Let's shift our focus to Bawku now, where the Vice President of the National House of Chiefs, Bupira Abdullah Jinapor II, has appealed to the King of Dagban and Dan Yana Abukari to intervene to bring finality to the Bawku chieftaincy dispute. According to him, the peace of Bawku is paramount to the economic development of northern Ghana.
It was part of his thank you tour to paramountcies following his election as Vice President of the National House of Chiefs last year. Speaking on peaceful coexistence in northern Ghana, Bupira Jinapor appealed to Yana Abukari to intervene in bringing finality to the Bawku chieftaincy dispute, which has claimed hundreds of lives.
Chieftaincy in Ghana has been coded as one of the revered institutions that brews conflict and insecurity in Ghana. The biggest escalated chieftaincy conflict in the northern Ghana is the Bawku chieftaincy conflict. I therefore call on the feuding functions for a congenial environment to accelerate the peace process.
He commended President Mahama for visiting Bawku in his bid to resolving the chieftaincy dispute.
I further extend congratulations to His Excellency President Mahama for the historic visit to Bawku and Nairi, all in the search for amicable solution to the Bawku chieftaincy conflict.
For his part, King of Dagbon, Ndanyana Abukari II, emphasized the need for peace in northern Ghana.
Here today, with your delegation, is good news to the people of this great kingdom, as you are the first Vice President of the National House of Chiefs to visit the Biawa Palace. Also very sure that we can work together to further strengthen Dagbon's relationship with Bupe and the Gonja Kingdom for mutual benefits.
The Bupeura is expected to visit the Nairi and other paramouncies in the Upper East and Upper West regions.
Well, let's take you to Shama in the Western region, where my colleague Stanley Nible reports on the exploitation of children by some fishermen. Now, fishermen say the laxity in enforcing child protection laws has led to an increase in exploitative labor within the fishery sector.
The Shama landing beach used to be a busy hub of business activities in the past, but now the place remains deserted as the majority of fishing canoes no longer land here due to unfavorable weather conditions. Canoe owners and fishing crew, upon returning from their fishing expeditions, now land in Sekendi, where a more proper landing beach welcomes them. However, a few indigenous fishers remain at home to use their landing beach. James Sekun, who had earlier returned from an expedition, was in the process of mending his net. 3 children who should normally be in school at the time of the news team's visit had also come to the beach to assist James in mending the net. The 2 other boys also accompanied the fisherman on the hazardous fishing expedition. We were told that parents of children often exploited at the beach request fish in return for their family's upkeep. He spoke about the use of children for labor. The second in command of the Shama Fishmongers Association, Nanachuba, expressed displeasure about the use of children in fishing. Child labor is a cross-sectorial phenomenon that requires a deliberate and prudent approach to address. The Minister Designate for Labor, Jobs and Employment, Dr. Rashid Perpo, when answering questions before the Appointment Committee of Parliament, emphasized the need to address the situation.
Our labor law is against child labor, and so we are going to be up and doing to ensure that the right things are done. Children are not engaged in doing adults' work. Children are not young adults. They are children. We have to respect that. We have to bring them up to grow to be responsible adults and not to degrade them by putting so much heavy load on them whilst they are still supposed to be learning. And so it is something that we can work on. It's a key area of our enterprise in the labor industry.
Exploitative labor affects the physical and mental health of children while depriving them of their right to education. In the case of Shama, immediate intervention is required to rid the beaches of exploitative labor. Stanley Nibler, TV3 News, Shama, Western Region.
Back to the capital, Accra. 3 years after being relocated, scrap dealers, onion traders and meat sellers have returned to Agbogbloshie, reclaiming the area that was once home of one of the most vibrant markets in the capital. A visit to the site revealed that the various trading groups have started rebuilding new structures both inside and outside the perimeter of the old market. My colleague Joseph Armstrong has the rest of the story.
In July 2021, as part of its Let's Make Accra Work initiative, the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council demolished the Agbogbloshie Onion Market and Scrap Yard, halting all trading activities. Despite strong resistance from traders, the military intervened and the once bustling market was declared a restricted area with access blocked to discourage further encroachment. The site was to have hosted one of government's Agenda 111 hospital projects, but 3 years later, the traders are back in full force. From the fenced boundary to the heart of the site, new wooden structures have rapidly been erected.
So what is the motivation for your coming back?
For instance, we are just trying to come and do our work here till the time, maybe if the government is going to use the place for something, we can go. But for now, so far as the government use the place for nothing, we have to come back and then work.
We have scraps dealers, robbers, and butchers. There are so many different kind of job there inside.
So different groups?
Different groups.
For some, Agbogbloshie has become more than just a market. Waste collectors have used the open space as a landfill, with trucks arriving from across the city to dump refuse at the heart of what was once the Onion Market. Though the Member of Parliament for Ablekuma Central, according to the traders, has visited the area twice, they are still waiting for clear assurance on whether the local assembly will allow them to remain or if they will be relocated once again. It seems that until a new municipal chief executive and the regional minister takes office, the future of Agbogbloshie traders remain uncertain.
So for the squatters and businessmen and women here, as long as government has no immediate plan and use for this land, they will continue to occupy this place. Joseph Armstrong, Go Dalugbe, TV3, Accra.
Back here in the studio, my name is Godwin Asidba. You're still tuned in to Weekend Central, live here on TV3. We are going for a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Don't go anywhere.
This is Hot Issues, your passport to the most compelling conversations of our time. We go one-on-one with the movers and shakers, the thought leaders, and the game changers. We ask the questions that matter, and we don't back down.
Tonight on Hot Issues, I sit with the man at the Center of Corruption Investigations.
Join me on Hot Issues here on TV3.
Hot Issues shows Sundays at 2 p.m. on TV3. TV3, first in news.
The wait is over.
Season 2 of Top Intern is here, and the journey to find the next big star is already heating up. We called out to fresh graduates from top schools across the nation, and they answered in droves. This week, the competition kicks off with an intense aptitude test to challenge their mental sharpness, followed by face-to-face screenings with our esteemed faculty. Who will make it to the final 12? The road to greatness begins now. Catch the thrilling first episode of Top Intern TV3.
Top Intern Season 2 premiering Sunday, 2nd February at 3 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Tampico.
The winner of Talented Kids Season 15.
The wait is finally over. Talented Kids Season 16 is back, and it is set to be the most thrilling season. Prepare to be amazed by the mesmerizing performances that will captivate audiences of all ages. We are calling on all institutions, parents, and individuals who believe in the extraordinary talent of children aged 6 to 12. Our audition trains will make its first stop in Kumasi on the 6th of February at the McLean Hotel. Then, we'll make its last stop in Accra on the 8th of February at the TV3 premises. Talented kids, free to play.
The news that matters most is the news that hits closest to home.
When it breaks, we are there.
If it touches your family, your city, affects your expenditure, your decisions, as well as your safety, we've got it covered.
It's easy to just cover the news. What we are doing is different, creating a news experience that prepares you for anything. TV3 News, award-winning journalism, world-class quality, on TV and online, right at your doorstep. TV3, first in news.
Welcome back. You're still watching Weekend Central. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has announced plans to revoke all mining licenses or leases issued for activities and forest reserves under the previous New Patriotic Party administration. Now, at the swearing-in of his third batch of ministers on Thursday, January 30, President Mahama tasked the new minister, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, with safeguarding the environment against the menace of illegal mining.
Honorable Kofi Amaboa, as Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, you'll be charged with the duty of safeguarding the environment from marauding galamseyers and managing our natural resources effectively. Let me take this opportunity to state that it shall be the policy of this government to ban the issuance of leases for mining in all forest reserves. We shall also move promptly to revoke all leases issued for the same purpose under the previous government. In addition, let me state categorically that this government has not given any person or group of persons any authority to carry out any form of mining in these forest reserves as recently reported. I urge the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Minister for the Interior, Attorney General and Minister for Justice to take immediate steps to ensure the arrest and prosecution of any persons or group of persons engaged in this illegality. I also need to state here that no member of this government is permitted to engage in any form of small-scale mining or galamsey. Any such persons will face sanctions which shall be swift and severe. We intend to call a stakeholder consultation on the menace of galamsey to forge a broad consensus on the measures we intend to take to preserve our environment from wanton destruction. This will involve, but not limited to, the following: a river guard which will employ youth from the communities affected by illegal mining, cleaning and eliminating toxic substances from our water bodies, reclaiming mined-out lands, training small-scale miners in sustainable mining practices. We've also begun the establishment of the Gold Board, which will ensure that Ghana gets the full benefit of the bountiful natural resource that God has blessed us with.
Still on issues of illegal mining, the government has been urged to develop sustainable strategies to tackle the environmental destruction caused by illegal mining activities. Head of Landscape at Eroche Ghana, an environmental conversation non-governmental organization, Hobson Ellie, emphasized the sustainable strategies and political will is needed to effectively combat the ongoing environmental crisis beyond the promises and press releases. Our Eastern Regional correspondent, Yvonne Nikwe, engaged him following recent announcement and promise from the John Dramani Mahama-led administration.
Lands and Natural Resource Minister Emmanuel Amakofibua has spoken about government's policy and commitment towards protecting the forest reserves, water resources, and the environment. President John Mahama also disclosed that licenses for mining and forest would be revoked, of seeing the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, issued press release to stop mining on water bodies. But are these enough? Environmental non-governmental organization Eroche Ghana says a more sustainable approach is needed beyond the press conferences and the statement from government and its agencies.
You are in Accra, you are in Koforidua and issue directives. Implementation on the ground becomes a problem. It doesn't work. Sometimes when politicians make promise, implementation becomes a different level. It's a good directive because we believe it's going to protect our forest resources, because the forest provides some services that are very essential to us as human beings. Basic is the air that we breathe. So for people to be destroying it, it's a huge issue for us as an environmental organization. The issue of whether it will be implemented or not is where we also have a kind of a problem with. We are really hopeful that it will be implemented. But we also don't want it to be that one-time approach where maybe they send military or something to the forest, they drive them out, then over time, they have to go back. Those ones are not sustainable. We are looking at where we put measures in place. It comes back to the institutions again, giving them the free will to work, making them accountable. For example, if there's a forest reserve, now that the directive is out, if there's a forest reserve and there is operation going on there, who is in charge of this forest? Why do you still have miners in your forest? That one is more sustainable than maybe taking the military there, then they leave, then with time the illegal people also go back to those areas. It is good that we are starting with the forest component because that is a confined area where the government can have much control through the state institutions. But beyond that, we also want the government to also look at the mining and its effect on the outside reserve as well, because that is also destroying farmlands and especially water bodies. Yes, the forest is the watershed. Having the waters coming through and being protected is a very good thing. But these waters come out onto the communities which are outside the reserve and they're also being destroyed. So if we focus, it is good that we are focusing on the forest now and we stabilize the environmental issues in the forest. But let's also beyond that consider how we are going to control or manage the issues outside the forest. Because if you save the forest and we don't save the outside, we just come back to square one.
It also says government agencies should be depoliticized and strengthened.
Looking out for is that the state institutions will be given the ability to work without interference. That is one of our main challenges in handling these environmental issues. Like you rightly said, there are so many laws, there are so many regulations, there are so many institutions working, but because they don't have the freedom, for lack of word, to do the work that they need to do, it becomes a problem for them. So aside allowing them to do their work freely without interference, there's also the need to make sure these state institutions are accountable for their work. So as we speak now, I can take you to a community where people are mining inside the water body, just close to us. So issuing statements and following it up with implementation are two different things.
I'm based in Region, Yvonne Nikwe, TV3.
Now, still on the environment, the Forestry Services Division and the Eastern Regional Police Command are working together to restore lasting peace in the Atiwa West District following youth protests against mining activities in parts of the Atiwa Forest Reserve. Correspondent Yvonne Nikwe reports that an uneasy calm prevails as stakeholders seek a sustainable approach to combat mining activities in the Forest Reserve.
The issue of unlawful and unethical mining in forest reserve continue to be a concern to civil society, environmentalists, and probably government. Although the minister designates for lands and natural resources, Emmanuel Kofi Boa, says mining would not be allowed in forests, this has not stopped. In the Eastern region, the Atiwa forest is under attack. Some youth believe miners have dug deep into the forest. They're protesting mining in the forest to ensure the forest is preserved. Some irate youth from Kwabeng and Yamama on Monday blocked access to the portion of the Atiwa forest in this community. Their argument is that some people are mining in parts of the forest which is not allowed. They deterred the forestry officials from entering the forest. So from Monday till now, the forestry officials have not been able to enter the forest. The Forest Service Division Regional Commander Noble Eshen says they are liaising with the Eastern Regional Police Command to ensure that the tension is reduced and the matter resolved. From Yamama, Yvonne Nikwe, TV3 News.
3FM has launched the maiden edition of the 3FM First Start Challenge 2025. This challenge will continue for the next 60 days with weekly workout sessions for participants.
The first edition of the 3FM First Start Walk Challenge was heavily patronized by fitness lovers. This challenge will continue for 60 days with weekly workout sessions for participants, certified dieting specialists, and expert coaching from the finest Comfort Okran and Helen Apia Ampofu. Many Ghanaians also joined the long walk early on Saturday, making their way to the Aviation Social Center in Accra. Patrons were treated to fun games and push-up challenges. Medical director and also one of the partners, Dr. Dennis Botti, said people must get out of their sedentary lifestyle and exercise regularly.
I keep saying that lack of exercise is a medical sin, or it's a biological sin, or it's a physiological sin that will punish you eventually. So it should be part of your routine, everybody's routine, that I need to do some form of exercise every day. Because research has found it to be very, very helpful. Good for your heart, good for your brain, good for your almost every organ in your body. And so for me, seeing young people like this, it's very impressive. And let's encourage, if the old people have failed, the young people should take it up and continue our lifestyle with it.
Founder of Samba Ghana, Ekuya Apreku, encouraged more people to join the challenge.
It was amazing. I loved the music. I loved the energy. I loved the camaraderie. I loved the way that everyone was inspiring everybody. I loved the asabone. It was a lot of fun, and I can't wait till you guys do it again. Don't miss the next one. Make sure you make it. No excuses. We didn't eat. We just got up, threw on our shirts, threw on our jeans, threw on our clothes, and got out there. And that's what you need to do in 2025.
This season promises to be very competitive and fruitful, and viewers should expect more episodes airing on TV3 along with constant updates on 3FM's social media platforms.
You know, you should see me working out at a gym the next time we meet again. Anyway, we are going for another break and we will be back shortly, so make sure you do stay with us.
This is the show that brings finality to all the critical issues. It is the stage where all the facts are checked, issues thoroughly interrogated, opinions shaped, and debates settled. But over here, We do more than just talk. We resolve problems. We hold those in power accountable. We address all the key happenings in society, from politics to health to education to everything you deem important. And we will center the voice of the ordinary Ghanaian. This is the show that sets the agenda.
Agenda now shows on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
What is that one sacrifice you made in a relationship before?
I had to use my residential fee to help my ex pay his school fees. I used my mom's hospital bill.
The
qualities he mentioned, no, those moral ones, I have it. I'm smart, obedient, passionate.
My sister, you know what you are feeling is PAIN.
Hey, their own is full, mine is small.
It means you are special. So many are called, but few
are chosen. That's all.
So you don't know.
That's right.
Date Fresh Season 12 shows Sundays at 8 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Enapa Foods, Heaven Insecticide Spray and Coil, Era Air Freshness,
Duffy's Ohima Feminine Mixture, Obuasi Bitters, Nubuna Womuankasa, Deluxe Acrylic Paint.
The wait is over. Season 2 of Top in Turn is here, and the journey to find the next big star is already heating up. We called out to fresh graduates from top schools across the nation, and they answered in droves. This week, the competition kicks off with an intense aptitude test to challenge their mental sharpness, followed by face-to-face screenings with our esteemed faculty. Who will make it to the final 12? The road to greatness begins now. Catch the thrilling first episode of Top Intern TV3.
Top Intern Season 2 premiering Sunday, 2nd February at 3 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Tampico.
Cristiano Ronaldo continues his record.
What a dream debut!
Ghana coming out again, the same squad.
For LeBron, he's got it! Throw it down, King!
Sports Station now shows on Mondays at 9 p.m. on TV3.
Enadia, mighty power. This is Haputi.
Na ka me prayer topic on erade ma me ko delay shows. E bon paya.
Esa me ba delay. I mean Ghana nyina ye delay do. Ha na oba interview ana chese wo ye adru. Me das.
Me ka just say I'll come on your show.
Me kai pa. Fe me ma me ka chen say na me ko delay shows o ka chen say ye erade na dia me be yewu.
Say.
Delay mama show na me chese e di na be bia kodro no. Say your friend wa ma.
Delay show is like the apex. It's one master the answer being CI or carrier.
As when you GB.
The Delay Show is brought to you by Telecel, Yas Sanitary Pad, Nasco, Betway, Gino, Pepsodent, Delay Foods, Tabia Takum.
The Delay Show, Sunday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
The news that matters most is the news that hits closest to home.
When it breaks, we are there.
If it touches your family, your city, affects your expenditure, your decisions, as well as your safety, we've got it covered.
It's easy to just cover the news. What we are doing is different, creating a news experience that prepares you for anything. TV3 News, award-winning journalism, world-class quality, on TV and online, right at your doorstep. TV3, first in news.
You're still watching Weekend Central now. In our next story, Sunyain West MP Millicent Yeboah Amankwa is calling on all parliamentarians to support the government in providing access to financing for workers in the informal sector, using her constituency as an example. She explains that if these measures are formalized, workers in the informal sector can contribute more effectively to economic growth.
The informal sectors come across with the people like that of the market, the traders, and transport operators. That is Pragia, Chocho, Mahama Kambu, people who actually are not in the formal sector. These people contribute much to the growth of the economy, but indirectly has no business registered, they don't have any documents, registered, and this go a long way to affect them because they have the zeal to work, to contribute, but they don't have access to financing. And if these processes are formally done and at their doorsteps, I believe that they will get the opportunity to help the economy. One of the major reasons why the good people of Ghana voted for the NDC and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, that leads to majority in Parliament, is just measure is based on the policies, which lead to the Women Development Bank and the assurance with the Maslot and the other 750 million Ghana cedis microcredit, loans that will be given to the people. And I believe in the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and I believe that in a very short time, these policies will be run. And I took this opportunity with a statement to encourage the members of Parliament that if such policies are on the table and decks of us, we should pay key attention to it.
President John Dramani Mahama says Africa stands at the crossroads of unlocking a $3.4 trillion market in job creation if it takes value addition to raw materials seriously. Speaking at the Africa Prosperity Network Dialogues 2025, the president emphasized that Africa must transition from exporting raw materials to exporting finished products.
We must strengthen African supply chains to ensure that our industries produce goods and services that meet both regional and global standards. We must harmonize our trade policies to eliminate non-tariff barriers and reduce the cost of doing businesses across borders. We must fast-track the full operationalization of the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System to facilitate the payment for goods and services across our continent. If we commit to these actions, we can unlock a $3.4 trillion market, creating jobs and prosperity for millions of Africans across this continent. Being exporters of raw material to become producers of finished goods, whether it is cocoa in Ghana, oil in Nigeria, copper in Zambia, or diamonds in Botswana, we must process and add value to our natural resources. Our youth are getting tired and frustrated at the lack of opportunity for realizing their dreams and aspirations. Our decision to embrace democratic governance was supposed to be accompanied by a dividend that will lead to improvement in the lives of our people and prosperity for all. Unfortunately, progress in this regard has been sluggish and largely intangible. If we are to maintain the faith and trust of our citizens in democratic and constitutional governance, we must accelerate our rates of economic growth, expand investment, and provide employment opportunities for our young people. As leaders, therefore, we must reaffirm our commitment to strengthening democratic institutions and ensuring free, fair, and transparent elections.
Now, the Minister for Youth and Development and Empowerment, George Opariado, has assured that his ministry will work towards creating decent jobs and empowering millions of youth with skills across the country. Now, the minister was speaking during his visit to the National Youth Authority on Thursday as part of his tour of agencies under his ministry.
Minister George Opariado visited the National Youth Authority on Thursday as part of his working visit to various agencies under his ministry. The Ministry of Youth Development and Employment will oversee more than 5 key agencies.
The EI that established the Ministry for Youth Development and Empowerment put 6 agencies under the ministry: NIP, MASLOC, Scholarship Secretariat, NYA, National Service, and YEA. These are the agencies that falls under the Ministry for Youth Development and Empowerment.
So now there's not going to be any contention between your end and that of the Ministry of Sports?
There are 2 agencies under the Ministry of Sports, and there are 6 agencies under the Ministry of Youth Development.
George Opari-Addo assured that a decision will be made in due course regarding the future use of the land at the old Agbogbloshie Onion Market.
We are going to take an assessment of all the assets that belongs to the authority, and then we will decide what to do with it next. But I want to assure you that we will lose no assets.
This statement comes as traders and scavengers are returning to the area 4 years after being evicted. The minister called on the public to support efforts of youth organizations.
Right, and that's how we bring the bulletin to an end this afternoon. My name is Godwin Asidiba.
And I am Judith Brown. A pleasure coming to you always. But make sure you stay tuned, because Hot Issues is at 2 p.m. this very day. And make sure you join and enjoy the show with everything it comes with.
And it's definitely going to be happening with Kemini Amano. So
yes.
You know what it's going to be all about when she's on the beat. Well, we'll see you same time next week. Do stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programming. Bye-bye.
Enedie mighty power bisi haputi na ka me prayer topic on erade ma me ko delay shows e bon paya
Esa me ba delay uhusa I mean Ghana nyina ye delay no uhusa ha na wo ba interview ana chese wo ye adru
me das
me ka just say I'll come on your show
me kai pa fe me ma ka chen say na me ko delay shows o ka chen say ye erade enedie me be yewu
say delay mama show na me chese edina be bia kodro no say your friend wa ma.
Delay show is like the apex. It's one master the answer being or carrier.
As when you are GB.
The Delay Show is brought to you by Telecel, Yas Sanitary Pad, Nasco, Betway, Gino, Pepsodent, Delay Foods, Tabia Takum.
The Delay Show, Sunday at 6 p.m. on TV3.
The wait is over. Season 2 of Top in 10 is here, and the journey to find the next big star is already heating up. We called out to fresh graduates from top schools across the nation, and they answered in droves. This week, the competition kicks off with an intense aptitude test to challenge their mental sharpness, followed by face-to-face screenings with our esteemed faculty. Who will make it to the final 12? The road to greatness begins now. Catch the thrilling first episode of Top Intern TV3.
Top Intern Season 2, premiering Sunday, 2nd February at 3 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Tampico.
The winner of Talented Kids, Season 15.
The wait is finally over. Talented Kids Season 16 is back, and it is set to be the most thrilling season.